We've planted one for the King, one for the late Queen.
And we're planting for future generations.
There's a lot of flooding issues down on the Severn.
We've planted every day except Christmas Day.
Creating a 60-mile ecological corridor. I'm Lawrence Richards. I'm the Trees and Woodland Advisor for the Severn Treescapes project. I work for the Gloucestershire Wildlife Trust, but work a little bit across Worcestershire and Herefordshire as well.
I'm Richard Rundell. I live here at Oak Grove with my wife Yvonne. This is on the very edge of the Wyre forest, just outside Bewdley, and behind me you can see the forest, which stretches for miles. I think 6,000 hectares. It's one of the largest natural forests in the country.
And we're here because they've been one of the first landowners to take up the Severn Treescapes funding for tree planting.
We are planting a 2-hectare field with broadleaf woodland, advised by the Worcestershire and Gloucestershire Wildlife Trusts, who drew up the scheme and are funding it through the Environment Agency.
And the Severn Treescapes project is a large cross-border project aiming to increase tree cover from the lower Wyre to the Wyre forest in the north of Worcestershire, so creating a 60-mile ecological corridor.
We found the Wildlife Trust to be extremely efficient and very helpful.
No, it looks fantastic. It's so nice for me to see it after, putting together the design and really working hard on that, thinking about these open spaces and the rides, and one of my main roles is to try and help landowners get to the most useful and appropriate funding pot. So this has come from the Environment Agency's Woodland Creation Pot, which has been distributed through Severn Treescapes project.
Well, we couldn't do this planting without funding. It's an expensive operation, and we haven't got the spare money to spend on it. So without Severn Treescapes, this project would not have got off the ground.
Oh, we just love to see the trees growing. Ever since we've been here, we've been planting trees, and you haven't walked along that side of the field, but every time there's an anniversary or a significant birthday, somebody dies, somebody gets married, we plant a tree and I make a plaque. And so all of these trees in the orchard have got plaques underneath them with the species and the reason for planting. So we've started planting trees ever since we came here. Sometimes only 2 or 3 a year, but the orchard is looking really good now. So we've got, our 50th, 60th, 70th, 75th birthdays, wedding anniversaries, child getting married, grandchild being born, mother dying, father's 100th birthday. We've planted one for the King, one for the late Queen.
We love planting trees, and we're planting for future generations to increase the biodiversity of the area, and because we just like looking at them and watching them grow.
Right next to the Wyre Forest SSSI, so this is already a very important place for wildlife, and we're basically buffering that habitat and providing more quiet space for woodland species to occupy. There's not a lot of recreational pressure here, as there is in other parts of the woodland, so it provides a really nice quiet spot for wildlife to develop, maintain, be able to move through the woodland here.
Living near Bewdley, we know all about flooding, and the impact that that has on the local community. We've got friends whose houses on the Severn have been flooded, so we know exactly what misery that can bring.
There's a lot of flooding issues down on the Severn, so the Rundells have been working to plant this woodland, but also create ponds and scrapes to slow down any floodwaters and hold it in the field here, having a direct benefit further downstream.
Planting over 2,000 trees is going to reduce the flooding in the area, which will slow the flow of water into the local brooks and eventually into the Severn. The oaks had much more of a root system than I was expecting. I mean, rather naively, I thought it would be a question of just digging a spit, sticking it in, stamping it down and going on to the next one, but we had to dig really good-sized holes.
I'm surprised as well.
Because you saw
system they had on them, yeah.
We've had the benefit of a plan which you produced very helpfully, and with the aid of that we ordered in the various trees. So we've had to dig, for each of these trees, we've had to dig a hole, plant the oak, bamboo it, tree guard it, and then mulch it, and we're still in the process of mulch it with wood chips from trees which we've had felled along the edge of the field and chipped. So all the mulching comes from this field itself.
So the process really starts with me coming out to speak to the landowner, and we walk around their land and they tell me a bit about what they want to do, what their vision is, what their objectives are for that land.
Well, the vision is leaving something for the next generation, a broadleaf woodland, so that it would eventually blend in with the rest of the forest. And that will take many, many years.
Yeah.
Far more years than we've got.
Yeah, fantastic. And we talk about different options they have for tree or woodland planting. I then go away and I put together a report of what we've been talking about, and that will come with some suggestions of tree species that are suitable, as well as a kind of planting arrangement and a planting design that is designed to be structurally and species diverse, so to provide a real mosaic of woodland habitat.
This is the plan that you drew up after one or two amendments. We've made a few alterations. We started on the 22nd of December. We started this little corner up here. And then every day we've planted, and you'll see we've planted every day except Christmas Day.
Fantastic. And how many trees have you planted in the main planting area?
In the main planting area there must be at least 2,200.
Amazing.
That's including the two coppices.
Okay.
This large field was, until the 60s, in the last century, part of the forest. And it was grubbed up to make way for a chicken farm, but sadly the chicken farm didn't prove productive, so it was left to go to pasture.
That was not productive, so the project here is putting in that really important ecology that was taken out in time. So balancing the trees and the open space, both of those habitats, and making sure that it provides the most benefit for biodiversity. Yeah, trees are a long-term project always, aren't they?
Well, they say you plant a tree for your grandchildren.
Yeah, I think there's something so lovely about that.
Yes.
It's very much looking to the future. You know, you're planting oaks here that will be maturing in 100, 120, 150 years. You're really leaving a legacy here on the land for future generations. We're really here to help guide landowners to find the right tree in the right place for the right reason, because it's quite a complex process, really, thinking about the species and the design and why you're going to put in trees, depending on what benefits you're looking for, whether that's flood alleviation, clean air, shade and shelter for your livestock, whether it's protecting a watercourse from riparian planting or planting an orchard to produce food. There's lots of different options. So we're working with landowners to produce the most appropriate plan for their land or farm or garden, and some of the funding processes are quite complex to go through, so we can help landowners through that process. We have our own funding pot, so we can actually pay landowners to plant woodland, and we can manage those projects for them as well, so everything can kind of be managed by Severn Treescapes.